Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 23, overall 298 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, which is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. And also, Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and Metro Atlanta, the home of Southern Talk and Sports as well. Good afternoon, everybody, and I hope everyone's doing well on this Monday, July 10th already, 2023. I'm looking forward to my guest today. It's her first appearance on Live with CDP. Her name is Mary Kennedy. She is an actress, comedian out of Los Angeles, California, originally from Beverly, Massachusetts, and has played the recurring role of the new Fiona in Season 7 of the Showtime's Shameless. So I'm going to bring on Mary Kennedy. Good afternoon, Mary. How are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Of course.
How's go ahead.
No, Los Angeles is very, very hot. Finally, we've had really bad weather, and now it's like temperature makes sense. So it's hot here.
Yeah, today it's about 82 degrees. To me, it's perfect. We do our temperature in Celsius. You guys do yours in Fahrenheit, but right now I would say 82 is perfect. When it starts getting in the 90s or 100s with the humidity, it gets humid here in the summertime. It's too much.
Yeah, I agree.
So, hey, you're my first guest on that has the same birthday as me. So happy belated birthday on June 29th.
Yes, you too. It was a good birthday this year. Very good birthday. I hope yours was good too.
Yes, I spent it at a ballpark in Buffalo doing some media work, and I love it. It was great.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Definitely.
I think you're probably younger than me, though. Or maybe we're the same age.
I am 51. I was born in 1972.
Me too. So we're the same age. What time were you born on June 29th?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask my mom that. Maybe they got a record of it. But I was born in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is northern part of Ontario. It's not far from Michigan. But I remember as I was born up there. But so June 29th, 72. Wow.
Yeah. And it was 12:15 in Beverly, Massachusetts, the hottest day of the year, as my mother told me, and the rest is history.
Okay, I will look into what time I was actually born at so we can compare, but what are the odds of that? Wouldn't that be something if we were born at the same time?
I know, right?
Wow. Hey, speaking of that, I know it says you're from Boston, but I was reading up you're from Beverly, Massachusetts. How far is that from Boston? Can you tell us a little bit about where you came from originally?
Sure. So my dad actually is from Beverly, Massachusetts, and that's where I'm performing at Off Cabot on the 25th and 26th of my one-woman show, Midlife Mood Swing. My mom, because they got divorced when I was 10, my mom lived in Marblehead, Massachusetts. And so Marblehead and Beverly are about, like, I would say 30 to 40 minutes north of Boston. So it's on the North Shore of Boston. The most, I would say, most famous place that I can point out so people know where it is Salem, and where the witch trials were, but they were actually in Danvers, Massachusetts, which was next door. So I live in that area. I live like Marblehead, Danvers, Salem. So yeah, and I'm surrounded by water. The town that I lived in with my mom in Marblehead was 4.5 square miles, surrounded by water. You could only go in and come out. You couldn't go through the town. And then my dad's house in Beverly was in Beverly Farms, which was on the way to Manchester by the Sea, which Casey Affleck had that famous movie. And, so yeah, North Shore, Boston. That's where I'm from.
I've been to Boston once and I loved it. I managed to go to Cheers, have a few beers there, and then I went to Fenway Park, set up at the Green Monster, and I have to go back there. And I'm a huge fan of Sam Adams beer, so I definitely have to get back to Boston.
Yeah, and that's what people drink out there. But you're going to have to also go to Kelly's Roast Beef on Revere Beach, and then you'll look at my accents coming out. And you always will have to do Dunkin' Donuts, because as soon as you get off the plane at Logan, there's a big Dunkin' Donuts display, so you can't miss that either.
And when you come to Toronto, you'll have to do our version, Tim Hortons. That's our version of Dunkin' Donuts here, Tim Hortons.
That's what I hear. Well, because I do a podcast with some Canadians. Yes. I'm the American correspondent for that Order Up show that we do. So
do you want to plug it? Do you want to plug your podcast now here?
Just a little bit. Order Up. It's a food podcast. There's no competition with Chris. We basically talk about different food myths and theories. One topic was cereal soup, and it's me and 3 Canadians, and you can catch it on Spotify or iTunes. But it's been crazy because there's so much about Canada I didn't know until I met you, and also the gals and guys on Order Up. So Canada, I feel like, is a much nicer place.
Wow, we're not perfect. It's expensive here. But it's not perfect. But you know what? It is a pretty good. I am lucky to live in Canada and stuff like that. But hey, speaking of that, we'll promote your Boston or your shows in Massachusetts on August 25th and 26th. But can you speak about how did you get involved with the Danforth Comedy Festival, and have you ever done comedy in Toronto before?
So I have not done comedy in Toronto before, but I did do, and I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, and Canadians, I'm sorry, the Saskatchewan, is that right?
That's right, Saskatchewan.
The Saskatchewan Comedy Festival.
Oh, cool.
Years ago, I think I was pregnant. I think I was. I was touring with the show called Mom's Night Out. And I actually got stopped at customs in Calgary. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the comedy festival. So I don't know why I got stuck at customs, but I did. And it was a little scary. But this one in Toronto is August 5th, the Danforth Comedy Festival. I'm doing the Saturday show at 8:00. And Luke Lindale is the producer. He's through Comedy Nuggets, and he hired me to do that gig. And I'm so grateful. And then I think what we're going to try to do is get my one-woman show, Midlife Mood Swing, to go to Toronto. Because there's a lot of women going through menopause in Toronto, if you didn't know.
I don't know what to say to that, but...
It's true. Just take my word for it, Chris.
Okay, definitely. Before we show a little clip of your work too, Mary, have you ever thought about, when your career is done or getting closer to the end, to writing a book about your career, being an actress and a comedian and doing a little bit of everything in the industry?
Don't ever say my career is going to end.
No.
No, I know. So yes, I mean, I've been asked a lot to write a book. I also teach actors. I teach adult actors, and I also teach showbiz kids. So I have a lot, and also I've been on tour as a comic for many, many years. So yes, I wouldn't mind writing a book. I'm also a Kennedy. I'm third cousins with the Kennedy family. So there's a lot of probably food for fodder. But, somebody's got to give me a deal. I got to get paid for it, because the idea of writing a book kind of feels really daunting. It feels, I'm a magazine reader. I like reading short little things. I love reading the feeds. Those are my news. Like, I don't know. I'm afraid that my book will be like, Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, and be very, very long. So, but I'm open to it. What do you think the title would be, Chris?
June 29th.
I like that.
But I was gonna say I'm doing some digital writing too in media work, because I'm trying to get into radio as well. But to be honest, my strong suit is talking to people, just being in person. Writing, I'm still working on, but yeah, this is what I love doing the most is doing my podcast radio show and doing live in-person interviews as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's really fun to meet people and talk to people, and we find out how alike we are really with everybody. And it's interesting when you talk to somebody who's a celebrity, like when I worked on Shameless, I was a huge fan. So to be on set with all those celebrities, Bill Macy, for instance, it was really great to be able to just talk to him like a normal human being. And he was great and so down to earth. So yeah, it's really fun.
To be honest, I've always had a passion for this, but I think in my 20s, I don't think I would have been prepared for this. And with all the celebrities I've interviewed recently, I just think my past careers kind of helped me prepare for this. And now when I talk to my guests, no matter what their background or profession, I treat them like human beings. I'm not like, oh my God. I'm just like, so I just learned, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I've just met you recently as well, and I think we've hit it off decently on here as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty down to earth coming from Massachusetts. My mother would kill me if I wasn't. So,
I got to ask you this, even though we're not going to talk much sports today. You have to be a Tom Brady New England Patriots fan, right?
I am a Patriots fan, but my husband is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and he did not like Tom Brady when he played for the Patriots. So for us Pats fans, it still hurts that Tom Brady left us for another woman. I'm just going to say that. We're still processing it. So yeah, no, but my husband, it was weird to have my husband like root for Tom Brady. But we also watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well, because no offense, Pats fans, I love you, but this season was hard. As my brother said, it was like the Patriots back in the 80s. I mean, it was hard. It was a hard season for all of us. But I'm also a Sox fan, Bruins, Celtics. I've been out in Los Angeles for 23 years, and I don't think that I will ever, no offense, I don't think I'll ever be a full LA fan. I can't. I can't do it. Sorry.
I have a Tom Brady story as well. And by the way, I've had the voice of your Patriots on my show a number of times. Bob Sochi from 98.5 The Hub. Bob is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. If you have, I don't know if you've ever met him in person, but he's just like what he is on the radio, and he's partnered up with Scott Zolak, who are complete opposites, but it makes for a good broadcast.
Yeah, no, they're great. All the Boston broadcasts are, I grew up with that, and it's just, it's been great and we're really huge sports fans back there. So.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a quick Brady story before we get to your video clip. I was at Tom Brady's first ever NFL game, July 31st, 2000 at Canton, Ohio, for the Patriots-Niners game on Monday Night Football with Al Michaels and Dennis Miller. And unfortunately, I ended up getting food poisoning down in Canton, Ohio. And my friends like, come on, Chris, you got to come. And I was throwing up. I was in pain. I almost had to go to the hospital. But you know what? In hindsight, 23 years later, I'm glad he dragged me to that game, because I still have the ticket stub, and I managed to suck it up and get to see Tom Brady play in that second half. So I have a little bit of a Brady story there.
Did you see, I'm kind of interested in your thing. Did you see the potential that he had in that game?
Yes. You did. Yes. He came in the second half. He was the fourth string quarterback behind Drew Bledsoe, John Freeze, Michael Bishop, who ended up playing in the Canadian Football League. And then I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan, so I saw Tom play for the Michigan Wolverines, and he came in the second half, and definitely I saw his potential there. And that was Bill Belichick's first year with the Patriots as well.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing, because now that Brady's gone, we kind of are wondering about Belichick, so we want to be back on top, but
definitely
time will tell. And then, maybe Tom Brady will come out of retirement, come back to the Patriots.
One of my goals one day is to have Tom on my show. It might take another 2 years, it might take 20 years, but that's one of my goals because I'd love to talk to him about his high school days in California, his college days at Michigan, and then just his NFL career, which has just been amazing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he is, as my brother says, he's the GOAT. So it's really funny.
Definitely. All right, Mary, before we get into some questions, I'm going to play your clip courtesy of Flappers Comedy Club. I believe it's in Burbank, California.
Yes.
And for about 2 years there during that awful pandemic I don't want to bring up, at least I was able to watch some of the comedians on there. So you know what? As bad as the pandemic was, our technology gave us the ability to live stream, and it was pretty good watching some of the comedians from Flappers on there when they did the live stream. Are they still doing live stream there right now or no?
I'm not sure. I know Jimmy Pardo, phenomenal comic. Look him up. I got to work with him early on as a comic. He had a live stream. I don't think he's necessarily doing it anymore, but I got to tell you, Flappers was sort of on the forefront of getting us comics back to work. I mean, I did 180 streaming shows, comedy shows, when we were in the pandemic, because I was working on my hour for television. Yeah. And I couldn't have done that if it wasn't for Flappers. And then all the clubs follow suit after them. So it was really incredible.
Wow. All right. Well, this clip is courtesy of Flappers Comedy Club. And thank you for sharing this clip. I do this with all my guests. I like to show my audience. My podcast is no longer local. It's international. So I just like to show off my guest work. And thank you again for sending me this clip.
I can't wait.
Okay, 1 second. And just let me know if you can hear the volume. Just one.
And that's Ray Lau that you guys are seeing. He's the MC. He's fantastic.
Okay.
She was on Shameless. She's working on a one-woman show.
You hear that? Okay?
Fire Solo Festival. Please put your hands together right now for Mary Kennedy.
Oh, yes. All right. Let's hear it for me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm still recovering from Brett Goldstein. Let me take a moment. I'm menopausing. I don't know if it's a hot flash or I'm back in high school at the prom. I'm dying. I am going through menopause. I know, sir. He's hot in the front. Jesus balls. I want to lick you like a stamp, young man. Wow. Jeez, I am having a hot flash. I'm going to have to go to 24-hour Ralph's after this and go to the produce department and wait for the thunder and lightning storm where it rains. You know what I'm talking about? It goes, and then it goes, shh. I'm going to take off all my clothes and I'm going to do a cold plunge. And then I'm going to steal a carrot because my doctor says I need more carotene. Hi. That was very Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. Yes, my name is Mary Kennedy. Where are my Shameless fans? Where are you? Thank you. I was in season 7 of Shameless for 8 episodes. I played an out-of-work prostitute who worked for food named New Fiona. Yeah, and Frank's new daughter. Do you guys remember me? I wasn't wearing any clothes. Do you remember me? Yeah. I had 2 nude scenes. It's all right, sir. You're not eating. It's fine. 2 nude scenes, and I'm on skindaddy.com, sir. I can. So write it down. Get a pen from your cute girlfriend. Write it down, skindaddy.com. And my description, much like IMDb, is milky white Irish girl where her left breast is larger than her right. Yes. So yeah, when they asked me to do a nude scene and they booked me for the show, my half-Italian husband wasn't sure if he wanted the world to see all of me. And then I showed my husband my contract and he said, go do God's work. And I did. That's right. Sir, did you gain weight over break? Did you? No, he's the Peloton. I gained some weight, sir. It's okay. I'm coming in. I gained some weight and I have this like post-COVID pouch. Look at it, sir. Look at it. It's like a lap pillow at IKEA. It comes in red and green for the holidays, right? Yeah, I was teaching kindergarten and this 5-year-old came up to me and went, baby. And I said, no, burrito. Thank you. I got an applause from. Welcome back, Carter, over here with your hair. Nobody knows. We're a weird few. We had phones stuck to our wall. They don't know who we are. They don't. The millennials have no idea. We're like aliens. Yeah, you guys. I'll tell you a little millennial thing. I went to Galaxy's Edge before COVID. You guys, I went to Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars exhibit, right? Went to Galaxy's Edge. For parents, it should be called the Edge of Financial Ruin. And I took my teens there, and we were waiting in line. And my daughter says to me, "Mommy, I can't wait till we go to the Millennial Falcon." I said, "It's not the Millennial Falcon, it's the Millennium Falcon. If it was the Millennial Falcon, it wouldn't be working." Thank you. Oh, judgment over here. Judgment, table one. I'm originally from Boston. Anyone here from the East Coast? Yeah, that's right. If you're drinking, you are welcome. The accent got in the way of my sex life. The Boston accent got in the way of my sex life. I'd have a night of heavy lovemaking. I turn to the guy next to me and I go, "That's a wicked big pissy you got down there, huh? Huh? Go Pats. Go Pats." Sorry, these two don't laugh. They just look at each other. Oh, that was funny. You must be a party in the box in the bed. You must be. My husband snores. Anyone have a partner who snores? He goes, "Oh, he does. Ooh, bald man snores." Oh, yeah. All right. My husband snores, and his doctor has told us he needs a CPAP. If you guys don't know what a CPAP is, it's like that. It's like this awful. Looks like he's on oxygen, right? Not sexy, not Darth Vader in that black cloak. No. So this morning I woke up and this is what I heard. I heard. And I kicked him in the back and I said, "Wake up! You need a CPAP. You're going to die." Right? And then I hear it again. I finally get back to sleep. I'm finally dreaming of Jason Momoa. Finally. And then I hear. And then he stopped breathing. Yes! It's not going up and down. No movement. And I go, "Do I wake him up?" And I say, "No, I don't wake him up, because if he dies, I was right. And being married is about being right."
All right, that clip was courtesy of Flappers Comedy Club, and I want to say thank you, Mary, for sharing that. I thought that was hilarious. How recent
Thank
was
you.
that? And is Flappers Comedy Club one of your favorite places to perform at?
Yeah, so that tape was back before the holidays, and Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso did a special guest set before I went on stage, and I'm a huge fan of Ted Lasso and Brett Goldstein. So when you hear me talking about Brett Goldstein, I just had met him, and he's the easiest going, greatest guy. Like one of my dear friends is a huge fan. Like it was like such a starstruck moment. So when I got up on stage, I was still reeling from meeting Brett Goldstein. And, he was working his comedy like we all work our comedy when we're doing our specials. And, he's been doing a lot of spots. He was at Largo here in LA. I know he was working on a special. So it was incredible. So that at Flappers was that set. And then, I basically have sent that set around for consideration for different festivals and television. But yes, I'm a regular at Flappers, which means I've auditioned and been passed. And I work there pretty much once or twice a month. And that was in the main room. They have a smaller room called the Yoo-Hoo room, which is more of a workout room. And I've headlined in there and worked out sets. But, any day some celebrity can walk in. I mean, I think it's Billy Gardell. Yeah, Billy Gardell did a set there, Adam Ferrara. All these people just come in and you engage with them at Flappers. And so it's a great little club in Burbank. Jay Leno is there every weekend. So it is one of my favorite places to perform for sure. And they've been so supportive of my journey, ever since I booked Shameless. So I'm grateful.
On average, how long is your average show? when you perform at Flappers or other comedy clubs?
So I'm doing usually guest sets unless they hire me to headline. So a guest set is usually 10 minutes, but if I'm headlining, it's anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And when I go on the road, it's anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. If I feature, it's 20 to 25 minutes. But, at Flappers, it's pretty much, I would say 10 to 15 as a larger guest set, and then 5 minutes if I'm just doing a quick showcase set. But it's important, Flappers Burbank is a lot like being on the road because their main room is set up like road rooms, meaning there's a lot of people. And, in Burbank, you don't necessarily get the sort of Hollywoods, where you're just performing for a Hollywood industry audience. Not that I don't love that, because I do, but it gives you a sense before you go on the road of, oh, this joke works because this person from Burbank who may not be in the industry thought it was funny. So I've done Mother Day shows there that have been done really well. So it's a really good gauge on what to expect on the road, which that's why I really enjoy it as well.
Do you have any rituals before a performance to help you calm yourself down, relax, or focus?
For me, I write out my set. I mean, what I'm going to do, I make sure that I get seated in the room. I like to be in the comedy room. I like to support the other comics that are up. And then in my comedy notebook, like it's just a regular comedy or any notebook you get, I write my set list and what I'm going to do. And I write the punches to each joke. And then if I want to work on some stuff, I'm trying some stuff, I usually put that in the middle of the set. And then I let it go. And then I go on stage. And sometimes I do what I wrote and sometimes I don't. But that's sort of the ritual. If I don't write out my set before my show, I find I get lost on stage. I don't bring notes up on stage. When I'm teaching comedy, to me, that's a big no-no. You as a comic should be able to riff and work in the room, and you should know your set well enough that if you don't remember a bit, you can put another bit in there. So I don't bring up notes. And that's sort of my ritual. And I listen to music when I'm driving to the club. And when I do my makeup, I do full makeup. I did a little bit of makeup for you today, Chris. But I do full makeup, and then I'm also listening to music because I'm also from the theater. I did musical theater, non-musical theater, and there's a whole ritual to putting your makeup on and putting your costume on. And I don't go on stage with jeans and t-shirts and sneakers. It's very rare. I usually dress up. I look good. I sometimes I wear Spanx if I'm, underneath my clothing. Like I look like I'm performing.
Wow.
So those are my rituals.
Wow. You wore makeup for me. I'm honored. And hey, I was going to say, I have a name for your book. It would be called Menopause, your book.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm not funny. I try to be funny, but you know what? And one thing too, I've learned, Mary, doing this podcast show, when I first started a few years ago, I had everything scripted in that. And now I've learned how to do ad-libbing. How important is ad-libbing in the comedy industry, especially?
Well, okay. So if you're doing a TV set, it's not that important because I've showcased a lot for television, for my stuff to be on television, and they want what you've given them and you've showcased to them. That's what they want on air because there's all those rights and clearances in the FCC and all that. So they don't want you going on stage and creating, right? But when I'm on the road, specifically, it's really important to be able to deal with the crowd that you have. I was coached in New York by some really great riffers. Tim Davis was my manager when I first started, and he's an incredible riffer. He was out of Stand Up New York, American Comedy Institute. I worked with comics in New York that could riff and deal with the comedy club at hand. Tommy Savitt was the first person that discovered me, and then I went down to New York Comedy Club with Al Martin, and Al Martin had me host the 12 to 2 a.m. on Thursdays, and sometimes it was packed and it was a great room. And then other times it was, I'm not kidding you, people were being released from the mental institution down the street. So I had to be able to work in the audience and be able to work my material in any environment. And so I had to ad lib. I had to deal with the group at hand. So I think it's important. Some comics, though, you'll see, and I've seen this at clubs, they're doing the same set over and over and over. And they've been contracted, by the club because say they had a Netflix special and the club is like, I want to see that Netflix special. Then you're in a position where you really need to do it word for word, letter for letter.
Okay, no problem. One thing I wanted to ask you too, Mary, the comedian part of your career, when you're performing, how long did it take for you to gauge the crowd, how they're feeling before a performance?
Well, if I'm hosting, which I don't do much of that now, I won't know what the audience is like until I get to probably my second joke. And if I'm not hitting by the second joke, then I'm going to have to really, dig and find something. And then when I finally, as they say, break the audience, then I know what I'm dealing with. But my job as a host is to warm up that audience for the feature and the headliner that are coming up after me, or the rest of, if they're doing showcase sets, the rest of the comics that are coming in. If I am a guest set towards the end of the night, I do stay in the room and I listen and I see what goes on. And if I see a comic is working too much with, say, a couple in the front, or, a couple audience members in the front, and they're not receptive, I'm not going to go to that couple or those people. So but I can read a room really well now. I've been doing comedy 25 years. So I can read a room and I know when they're going to be tough. And I know, okay, this group is tough. And my biggest sort of challenge, and I love it actually, is when I break the audience. If I can turn that audience around and make them laugh, and I'm known that's one of my talents, then I've done a good job and I'm really happy.
How satisfying is that when you do that, break the audience?
Yeah. So you just have to be yourself. And I have a lot of bookers that book me because they know that I can do that. So.
All right. Before we get into some more questions, this one I wanted to ask you, and I'm just ad-libbing on this one. When you write your jokes, Mary, do they just come to you naturally, or sometimes it just depends?
I'm like a naturally funny person. Like I'll say funny things. And if it's something and it comes out and somebody laughs, I write it right down. My mom was really good. When I'd be talking to her on the phone, she would say stuff. She's like my son. She would say stuff that like, you just can't write. It was so good. And so, my mom was a big part of my act. She still is. She's a part of my one-person show. So, I was able to do that. I don't do a lot of observational or political comedy. I do have a couple political because of my last name. But for the most part, it's me and my experiences with, dating, menopause, being married long-term, having kids, being a woman where every day my body's changing,
So is mine.
Yeah. And men too, menopause. But, basically I bring all the jokes back to myself. So I write for myself. As of late, because I teach a comedy writer's room, I'm good at punching up people's sets and writing now. I'm really good at that. And if somebody asked me to be in a writer's room today, I probably could definitely do it. But you have to have a packet. I mean, that's like, I don't want to be so, I can do late night now as a writer. And I'm not saying that, but I'm much more comfortable in my writing ability than ever before. And I think it's just being in the ring, and it's when I work with writers, like I work with Brian Kiley a lot. He was a writer for Conan, and I featured for him in Colorado. When he laughs at my jokes, I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right, because he's like a really good writer and performer. So, it's some people come to this career as writers who then perform. I came to this career as a performer who started comedy, if that makes sense.
What would you tell somebody who's watching or listening to this podcast, radio show later on, that they're interested in getting into the industry? And would you recommend writing is one of the first things they should do?
Yeah, I think what I did was I took a comedy class at American Comedy Institute, and then our first show was at Stand Up New York. I think if you can get into a class that has that performance component, so you're working towards something and you're writing, is something that I think you need that structure, I think. Or you can, another route is do open mics at a comedy club and watch other comics, because more often than not, you'll have a comic come in there that's been doing it for a while and you'll see their structure. But it is setup punch. It's not a story. It's not storytelling. So I felt I needed a class that would teach me the format, setup. This is the setup of your joke, and this is your punch. And you can't, and it's about cutting the fat between your setup and your punch. And I needed a class to figure out how to do that. So I think getting into class, I think, writing, free writing, in the class that I teach at the Comedy Writers Room, Paul Jasek, who's our artist in residence, who's been a writer for Joan Rivers, Carl Reiner, he does writing prompts with all of our students. So he just gives random words and the students have to write, and that gives you like a free write. And then you can turn it into a joke. So, but I think a class is really, really important.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, Mira, are you still good for another 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, a few more questions?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to check with you. I wanted to ask you this question as well. Mary, when you started up in the industry, both acting and comedy industry, did you have a mentor or mentors? And who were some of your favorite comedians and actors, both male and female?
I grew up watching the Carol Burnett show. I loved it. And I loved Carol Burnett, and I loved the sketch. I thought it was so funny. I also watched Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Like the older ones.
Yes.
That, were really, really funny. And, and I think it's interesting. There have been moments with Saturday Night Live now where I watch and I go, this is really funny. This is where we are. Like, I feel like the SNLs that are coming up, the Kristen Wiggs, the Kate McKinnons, like I adored watching them. Like that was the next generation that I just thought they're great. And then, now they're they were always actors, but, now I admire them in the movies that they're in. Like, Kate McKinnon's in Barbie right now. I think it's really funny. And so I admire them. When I was coming up in the comedy scene, I always say this, and I don't know if he says this, I really liked Bobby Collins. Like we had cable when I was a kid and I'd watch Bobby Collins. And, I don't know if I understood what he was talking about, but I liked his physicality of all of his jokes, and he just really made me laugh. Robin Williams, to watch him work was amazing. Ellen was really great. I got to see Ellen in New York when she first, it was before her notoriety with her talk show, and I got to see her tape a special at one of the theaters in New York, and to just watch her work. It was really, in a weird way, it was kind of attainable. Like I knew people who knew her, and then I got to meet her in Los Angeles, and it's just, she was a real person comic doing her set. She was out at that time, which I thought was really important. And to watch her just sort of rise to stardom that way was really interesting to watch. And today, like, I'm lucky. I get to work with a lot of name comics on a regular basis. So I would hate to say I like someone more than the other. I'm really grateful to work with the men and women that I get to work with all the time. So that's sort of my thing. Actors, like, I cannot stop saying that working with William H. Macy made me a better actor. I mean, he was amazing. And I came from Marblehead, Massachusetts, and North Shore, Boston. They had really good theater, and I had two great acting instructors, mentors, Georgette Beck and John Fogel. John Fogel was my first professional director. And then I went to Emerson College, and I had some of the best teachers, Nat Warren White, who I still keep in touch with, Bob Colby, who passed away. So, I've had some really good training, and that's it.
Awesome. And when you come to Canada, we're known for SCTV. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live, but SCTV was the Canadian version of Saturday Night Live, with the late great John Candy, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty, Andrea Martin, just Martin Short, who's not far from me. So when you come here, man, you're gonna like our audience because I think Canadians have a pretty good sense of humor.
Well, and listen, I loved Kids in the Hall. I mean, I watched Kids in the Hall growing up. Nickelodeon. Alanis Morissette was on it. I can't believe I don't know it right now. It was That's Not Television or something. I don't know. It was a sketch show with kids. It was really fun to watch. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, no, I'm definitely into the Canadian comics as well. I think they're great. And, I think the Canadian comics have kind of the sensibility of being an East Coast comic, I mean, that's where it started. And yeah.
All right. How much of an adjustment was it, Mary, when you moved from Boston to LA? And how competitive did you find the acting and the comedy industries in LA when you first arrived on the scene there?
Well, it's an interesting story. I did not get my comedy start in Boston. I got my comedy start in New York. So I lived in Boston, went to school there, and then I ended up being an intern for Juilliard in their stage management. And then I ended up getting hired there. And then I ended up working for Equity after that job. And I couldn't be an actor because I was representing actors through an entertainment attorney. And so at that point, I ended up going into comedy because I was missing the performance aspect of my life. And I lived in New York for 6 years, and I was doing comedy sets probably 5 to 7 times a week, even as a baby comic. I mean, I would do my day job as an events planner, or a contract rep. And then I would go, and basically do sets. I remember coming home at like 2 a.m. and having to be up at work at 8 o'clock, ridiculous. And then I auditioned for a bunch of networks through Judy Carter's comedy conference in Big Bear. She had all the networks come, ABC, NBC, is it Chris Titus? Titus was there. And basically I auditioned for everybody, and an ABC producer came to me and said, if you want to do television, you need to move to LA. And that Christopher Titus, yeah. And I talked to Christopher Titus about it too. And that following September, I moved to Los Angeles with my boyfriend, now husband. And I had to start over. I mean, when you live in New York and you call up LA and you go, hey, I'm here from New York, can I get a guest spot? You get guest spots. I mean, I auditioned for the Comedy Store. I got a call back when I was living in New York. When I came out to LA, I didn't have any TV credits, so nobody really cared. And I can say that, and so luckily when I first moved out here, I got a really good agent, and I ended up booking ER. So I ended up getting the TV credits, and then I ended up passing at Laugh Factory. And then I just started working my ass off and showing people that, you know what, I'm worth my salt, and then I started producing. I produced with Augie Garrett and Gary Cannon. They gave me spots out at the Improvs in Ontario. I produced with Jason Duty, who was a touring comic with Kathleen Madigan. And so I made my sort of, what can I say, my place in Los Angeles. But I did have to start over. And then, there was people getting sets that maybe shouldn't have gotten sets, but had the name notoriety, so they got the sets.
How important is it having an agent when you're first starting out, and making sure you have the right agent as well?
Well, as an actor, it's imperative. As a comic, I have a lot of comic friends who aren't interested in acting, who just use their manager, who gets them road work, club work, television work, and comedy. As an actor, I am not going to get work if I don't have an agent who's submitting me for the work. And then when I got, I was on a holding deal pilot for Nick Mom, and I retained a manager then because I had a 35-page contract with Viacom Nick Mom, and I needed someone along with my agents to sort of look at the contract and make sure that I was getting everything. I had a merchandising part of that. I had subsequent work. I had a holding clause. I mean, I also have an entertainment attorney that helped me through that too. But I had something. This is what I say to all new actors in comics. Unless you have something for a manager to sell, do not get a manager. A manager can't pick up the phone and go, hey, I want to sell Mary Kennedy, but she has nothing to sell. So wait on the manager, get those credits with an agent. And then when I got Shameless, I wasn't with that manager before because they stopped managing. I got a new manager who now is helping me with my one-woman show. She also submits me for comedy. But she works hand in hand with my agent because here's a perfect example. And you let me know if I'm ever talking too long. A perfect example is I am shooting something tomorrow. I can't talk about it, but I am shooting something tomorrow, and my manager and my agent are all working together because I go away on vacation next week. Then, I'm teaching the following week, and then I'm on the road all of August. So I need a team that's going to help, those spots where I'm not away and I'm not busy, sort of navigate my career, because then I have another job coming up hopefully in August. So that my whole team sort of works. And then like I told them I'm doing your podcast and I'm doing other promotion and a newspaper's covering me. Like I have to include all of them in that. And then not to talk about like red carpet. When I do red carpet, I include my whole team there. So there it is. In 1,000 words or less. That's how you navigate your career, I guess.
All right. Well, Mary, I could probably talk to you about 4 or 5 hours, but I was going to say, no, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. And before we wrap this up, can you just briefly talk about your upcoming performance again here in Toronto and also in Massachusetts at the, trying to remember the name of the club you...
Off Cabot.
Off Cabot.
Yeah.
Club, which is August 25th and the 26th, I believe.
Yeah, sure. So if you want tickets to the show on August 5th, I will be at the Danforth Comedy Festival. And you can just grab tickets there and I think you can do a search for my name. I'm at
I have the website, and I have the website on there.
Oh, great. Yeah. So I'm on August 5th at 8 p.m., but just don't see me. There's tons of stuff happening. There's 2 weekends of festival. So there's that first weekend and then the following weekend. So, and yeah, I would love for you to come and see me, and, would love to take pictures, and you can see new Fiona from Shameless for that. And then you can go to Off Cabot. They go through e-tix, but I just want to see if you go to Off Cabot, there you go. offcabot.org shows Mary Kennedy. There you have it. You're amazing. You can get tickets for my one-person show. It's a one-person show. Charlene Ward, who's my director, will be doing 10 minutes. And then I will do my one-woman show, which talks about my mom's band, being a Kennedy, and going through menopause. And would love to see you there. So you can go to offcabot.org/shows/Mary-Kennedy/5:30 and get those tickets, because it will sell out, guys. And I can't wait to see you.
I will do my best to come down to Toronto on August 5th because I'm only about an hour and a bit from Toronto, and I usually take the GO train into Toronto because Toronto traffic, I'm going to warn you this, Toronto traffic is probably as bad as anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I hear.
So take public transit. Even Tom Cruise was complaining about it. So yeah, just get around with Ubers or public transportation when you're traveling.
I'm not renting a car. I'm not. Don't worry. I'm definitely doing transit, and and there's going to be opportunities for you guys to see our order up some live sort of videos and stuff that we're going to do, because I'm going to see the Canadian game, Carrie Haim, Kelly Zemeckis, and Matthew Ardell. So, and it's just, thank you so much for this. It was really fun. And if you guys want to ever just, like me on Instagram, mkennedy comedy, and that's it. I mean, I'm available.
Definitely. And I was going to say, and I'll put your website here too. Your website is maryekennedy.com as well.
Yeah. So thank you.
All right.
Yay.
Well, I was going to say, Mary, 49 minutes flew by, but when you're enjoying your conversation with your guests, it makes it great. And a podcast is only as good as its guests. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on my 298th episode today.
Thank you. And go Pats.
Go Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan. Hey, the Eagles beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. But you know what? I have respect for the Patriots. And when I do have Bob Sochi on again from 98.5 The Sports Hub, I will let you know. And we'll talk some Patriots, and I'll mention you as well.
I'd love it. It'd be great.
Mary,
thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will send you a copy of this episode later tonight on video and audio as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Mary. You too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed season 6, episode 23 of Live with CDP Sports Talk today with my guest, Mary Kennedy. She's an actress, actor, comedian, and also a producer as well. And she also teaches the Biz Studio and youth acting business as well. And she's been in various TV appearances, sketches for CONAN on TBS, NBC, and she did, I believe Mary did a commercial for George Lucas's Star Wars as well as CBS Sports with sports personality Jim Rohn as well. So again, I want to say thank you to Mary Kennedy, who has the same birthday as me, June 29th, 1972 as me. And I hope you guys enjoyed my show with Mary today. And my next podcast show, guys, I'm looking forward to it, will be this Wednesday. I'm just going to try to find the graphics here. Episode 299, season 6, episode 24, live with CDP Sports Talk, again brought to you by Barry Callin Chevrolet, will be this Wednesday, July 12th, 7 p.m. Eastern, with my guest, Shauna Brown. She's a singer, songwriter, producer, model, actress out of Toronto. So I hope you guys can tune into that, 7 p.m. She has a new single coming out as well. She's just released and it's coming out. So we're going to talk to Shauna as well. The next live Argo Balance live audio show about the Toronto Argonauts. I do it on my Twitter Spaces under Christy Palme. It's going to be Wednesday, July 12th, same day at 9 p.m. Eastern. Again on Twitter Spaces at Christy Palme with my co-host Nick Small of the Argo Bounce Live Audio Show. And Nick and I are going to talk about the Toronto Argonauts' upcoming game against the Montreal Alouettes this Friday, July 14th in Montreal, 7:30 kickoff on TSN. And we're going to talk Argo football, preview the game against Montreal, and also a little bit about the Canadian Football League. And today it was announced that Ottawa Redblacks quarterback Jeremiah Mazzoli has a torn ACL and he's out for the year. And he missed most of all of last year with a serious injury as well. So Jeremiah Mazzoli, who's 35, this might be the end of his CFL career. Prayers for Jeremiah. He makes a full recovery, but his football future is up in the air because, as you know, ACL is a very serious athlete, especially for a quarterback and a pro football player as well. So thoughts about Jeremiah Mazzoli, and we'll be talking about the CFL and the BC Lions nice rebound win over the Montreal Alouettes last night as well. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this show. Again, I want to say thank you to Mary Kennedy for coming on live with CDP Sports Talk as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme, is now on weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. You guys can check out the website at WQEEFM.radio12345.com as well. And I will have a show tonight, 8 o'clock on WQEE 99.1 FM. As always, Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And I want to say thank you to everybody watching this live streamed as well. Also, I have a website, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. All my digital content and my previous podcast shows, both video and audio, are on that website as well. And all my social media accounts are on there as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is sponsored by Barry Callin Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycallin.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles as well. Also, speaking of Barry Callin Chevrolet, Summer Adventures event going on at Barry Callin Chevrolet right now with the 2023 Equinox and Blazer RS, 4.49% financing for up to 60 months. More details at barrycallin.com or drop by the dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 as well. You guys can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I post a lot of content there. I was at Crossbody Pro Wrestling this weekend, and I did some content for them. So check out my latest content on TikTok at Live with CDP. And also a shout out to Ben Ortmans and Crossbody Pro Wrestling out of Cambridge as well. They're going to take a summer break, but they will be back September 1st. And they're at 132 North Argyle Street in Cambridge. And it's really good professional, local, independent pro wrestling here in the Guelph, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge area as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk podcast. The audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitcher, and Tuned In, and weeknights at 8 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM as well. Also, you can email me or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpalme19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. I'd love to hear from my audience, comments, suggestions, comments, and questions about my show as well. And that's about it. We're going to wrap up this show. Again, the Argo Bounce live audio show will return to Twitter Spaces this Wednesday at Christy Palme, Wednesday, July 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern, with Nick Small and myself as we talk Toronto Argonauts football and CFL and preview the Argos' upcoming game against the Alouettes. Alouettes are now 2-2 after their loss to BC last night. The Argonauts at 3-0 as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is brought to you by Barry Callin Chevrolet. Next show is going to be Wednesday, July 12th, 7 p.m. Eastern, again with my guest, Shauna Brown, singer, songwriter, producer, model, actress out of Toronto as well. Before we wrap up this show, guys, I want to give a shout out to a Special Olympic gold medal winner here in Guelph. His name is Mark Richardson. He was in the Special Olympics recently in Berlin, Germany, and he won a gold medal in 10-pin bowling. So a special shout out to Mark Richardson. Big thumbs up for winning a gold medal in 10-pin bowling for the Special Olympics. And Mark Richardson was one of my first viewers, supporters of my podcast show here 3 years ago. So congratulations, buddy. I'm so happy for you, Mark. And I would love for Mark to come on my show and talk a little bit about Special Olympics and about being a 10-pin bowler and winning a gold medal as well. Also, finally, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I just wanted to promote my guest again. Mary Kennedy will be performing at the Off Cabot Comedy Club in Massachusetts on August 25th, 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can get your tickets at offcabot.org/shows Mary Kennedy 530. And also, Mary will be here in Canada. Mary Kennedy will be at the Danforth Comedy Festival on Friday, August 5th at 8 p.m. in Toronto. And you can get tickets through their website, danforthcomedyfestival.com as well. Again, thank you to Mary Kennedy for coming on today. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching on live stream and also on my audio platforms. And thank you to my audience listening to this show on WQEE 99.1 FM. I have a special guest coming up in a few days for my 300th episode. I've been doing this show since March 20th, 2020 during the pandemic, and I have a special guest. I'm going to make that announcement very soon. They'll be coming on for my 300th episode, and looking forward to that as well. Again, thank you to Mary Kennedy and everybody for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Callin Chevrolet, and weeknights at 8 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM. I hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll see you Wednesday night at 7 o'clock for Season 6, Episode 24 of Live with CDP Sports Talk.